Welcome to the first episode of Woodface and the Truth. There's going to be some questions and answers with me and my mate Baz Wood. I just want to acknowledge that, Tubbs is a mate of mine. I fully respect him, but, I thought it'd be good for this exercise because, at the moment, you're still following the government narrative, yeah? And that's something I want to break because, think about it. Do you think, this is going in the right direction? Of course it's not. So if I can convince you, you'll convince Epard and Roffey and Stars, Biffo. Forget Walton, he's completely gone. But, there's guys that are on the fence. They're kind of beginning to understand that something ain't right, but they're still not understanding why it's happening. And that's what I want to do in this first episode, is explain how it's happening, why it's happening. And once you understand that, it'll be easier to stop. All right, so thanks for coming over, Tubbs, for what will be hopefully a regular vlog of questions and answers. No matter the runner would want to be, it's better than going to Real every year. So where you want to begin? Well, I know that you've been trying to expose the New World Order for years. You say that all these recent events are connected: 9/11, Manchester bombing, refugee immigration, and now what's just happened over the last 18 months. But I still can't see it. Okay, well, where'd you get your news from? Well, usual stuff: BBC, ITV, AsianLadyboys.com. Not really, Julie. Sky News. Well, therein lies the problem. These institutions that you grew up with, that were once the hub of journalistic integrity, well, they've long since been infiltrated, yeah? They're now controlled by the New World Order. The 1%, the elite, the global cabal. I'm talking about the same thing, yeah? And because they own the mainstream media, they can censor and restrict any content that will expose their planned agenda. And it can promote whatever propaganda it needs to keep the masses under control, yeah? They'll never debate opposing theories. Have you ever heard an opposing theory? No, they'll just shut it down. It's how they keep people in the dark. It's the control of information. Whoever controls the information controls the narrative. Well, if that were the case, how come we haven't heard about it? Well, because of what I just said. Basically, there are around 13 families that control the entire planet, yeah? These are things you really need to take on board now, yeah? 13 families against what? 7 billion people? But they're that wealthy that they control everything of any significance, yeah? They own the governments. And so all the presidents and prime ministers are just merely puppets, yeah? Who enact whatever legislation is needed to further the agenda. And again, this is fundamental to understanding. So, when you hear your Bojo talking or Biden over here, it's not them that have come up with this. It's the people above, yeah, that are controlling them. It's not rocket science. You just have to understand a few fundamentals and you can figure out what's going on. They own Big Pharma, which of course is making billions off the jab, yeah? They own the banks, they own big oil, they own Silicon Valley, which of course helps them censor the stuff that they don't want seeing. The pandemic must be real, yeah? Because everyone around the world seems to be reporting the same story. Or we can do a whole vlog on the plandemic, because that's what it is, yeah? It was planned and thought out, yeah? But now let's just establish how they have everyone on the same page, because if you don't understand who's pulling the strings, you'll never get to the bottom of it, and you just keep believing the government narrative. Now, these families have been planning a one-world government for centuries, but because there weren't enough of them originally, they had to sire enough children with the same bloodline, which is massively significant. And of course, that took a couple of 100 years, yeah? But now it's coming to fruition. It's important you follow this, yeah? Okay. Now, these offspring were placed in positions of power around the globe through a series of secret societies. And once enough of them were in place, which is now, yeah, it's coming to fruition, bam, they create a narrative that's the same script worldwide. And the puppet in Australia is broadcasting the same exact fear porn as the puppet in Canada, and so on, yeah? By the way, no virus has ever existed in the North and South hemispheres at the same time in the history of the world. But don't let a little fact like that get in the way of the narrative. I'm not trying to beat you up, mate, but I just need you to kind of chip away at these lies. Because once one falls, the next one falls, and the house of cards is over. These people do not have the power that you think they have. We have the power. And so once enough of us kind of go, hang on, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. Oh, that's happening because of that. Okay, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to jump through any hoops anymore. And that's the only way we can get back to any semblance of normality. See, once you understand this, you can instill confidence and optimism in your peers, in your friends, in your family. That's the only way we can break this cycle. So now can you see how easy it would be to hoodwink the entire planet if there was a situation where one party controlled most of the information highway, so all they got to see was propaganda day after day, propaganda that put the masses in fear, yeah, so they could be coerced into doing exactly what the government wanted. If you understood that, then it'll all start to make sense, yeah? Remember 3 weeks to flatten the curve. Oh yeah. That's why it's crucial to stop believing your TV, and if you do need to watch the news, watch a couple of independent outlets, and that way you can make an informed, educated decision on what's happening. Because you know, you get your opinions from your perceptions, yeah? And you get your perceptions from what information you receive. That's how it works. So if you've just been getting propaganda as your information, you will perceive that to be the truth. That there and then is the fundamental aspect of all this. If you've got propaganda on one side and you've got an alternative viewpoint on another side, then take them both in, and then you could make an educated, informed decision for you, your family, your friends, your peers, whatever it may be. But for the people that just, you know, refuse to acknowledge anything else, they're just going to go down this route of tyranny, essentially, which is what it is. Because whether you believe it or not, this global tyranny is happening right now, right under your nose. And if not enough people wake up, by the time your kids are grown up, they'll be living in an open-air prison, yeah? And I'm not saying that to be, you know, damning or dramatic or whatever. That's what's happening now. You can see how the restrictions coming in every week, if not every day in some places, yeah? Did this make it any clearer? Well, it's a start.